Hey, so I was talking in the shower to myself, like you do, and I was thinking about lies. I was thinking about why people lie. When I was young, I was a pretty compulsive liar. I was pretty bad. But what's funny is I had a reason for that, and that was I really wanted to protect the person I was lying to. Something happened when I was older, 20s. My brother told me that he got in a big fight with his wife over lying. And when I told him that the reason that I lied so much as a child was that I was trying to protect the other person from disappointment and misery, he said, I wish you could tell her that. And that sent me on a train of thoughts. A lot of people assume that lying comes from narcissism, that it comes from protecting yourself, getting out of trouble. And this is true a lot of times. But I believe that this is actually the lowest percentage of why people lie. The biggest thing to listening to someone at their core is don't listen to stereotypes. Algorithms on YouTube, Reddit, etc., they will often promote the worst possible outcome because as human beings we're trained to fix or try to help. So oftentimes algorithms will shift you from a normal perspective or a normal approach or reasoning, and they'll push you down narcissism. They'll push you down abusers or something. I just had to block 2 channels on my YouTube that said, quote, the thumbnail literally said how to spot an abusive person, because I look into a lot of psychology and the algorithm is just the biggest fan of trying to make it the worst thing possible. When I was a child, I came from a bad background, and coming to a new family, one of the biggest things that I was scared of was disappointing them. I was scared of being the problem child. So I lied a lot. But what was funny was my father believed that the reason I lied was because I wanted to get out of trouble. But that wasn't it. I didn't really care about getting in trouble. I had already been to the worst part of life. There was nothing that they would do to me that I would fear, except disappointment. Except knowing that I wasn't worth what they had chosen. Yeah. So I began to lie. When I did really bad things, I didn't want to admit to it. I was autistic. I was a kid. Kids do dumb things in general, but when you're autistic, they do even worse. I also came from a bad background, so I had a lot of bad habits. So that would be where lying came from. But I was sitting there in the shower, talking to myself, and I realized it was more to it. As we get older, there's a really fun lie that people tell each other. When you ask your partner, does this dress make me look fat? You say, no, it looks beautiful. You look beautiful. This might be true, and it might not, but you're never going to give the other answer. You might if you have built that kind of a rapport, but in general, it's not about telling the truth as much as it is validating your partner. My partner said something some time ago. What she said to me was, I was talking about how sometimes she's really cute when she's a little bit ditzy. And she said to me, don't you think maybe I do that on purpose? That thought hit me pretty hard in the shower as I realized there are many things that we do for our partner to make them feel validated, to make them feel good. I think girls in general do a lot of this. You'd be amazed how much a girl does to show up for her man. You might think that she's ditzy. You might think that she's a little bit wild. You might think that she just thinks everything you say is funny. But a lot of times what they're doing is they're validating your feelings because they care about you. They care about the relationship. I was watching a video a few weeks ago, and it was from a divorce lawyer. He said that the most common complaint that comes from women, because for those who know, the majority of divorces are initiated by women. The most common complaint that comes from women is, he stopped paying attention to me. It wasn't money, it wasn't his body, it wasn't his looks. The most common complaint was, he stopped paying attention to me as much. This is pretty normal for a relationship. In the beginning, the two of you have the limerence or whatever, where you're just deeply in love and you pay a lot of attention. As the years go on, unfortunately, many people, I wouldn't say they take them for granted, but a lot of the initial spark wears off. I believe in guarding against this. I believe in being aware of this and doing what my girl told me that day. She said, "Don't you think maybe I do that on purpose?" It's such a tiny thing, but it explains how we show up for our partners when we maybe wouldn't. Yeah, like making coffee every morning for them. Building little things. So I have something with my girl where I leave her a note at a very consistent time. This is something that I do for her so that she knows, if she ever has any doubts, she knows, stop having doubts. I think that lying, when it comes from a good person, is not about selfishness. I think it's about selflessness. And I think that this translates to our real world experiences and how we deal with people that we love. It has to do with how we validate our partner. It has to do with how we validate our friends. How many times has one of your friends said something absolutely dumb, just absolutely off the wall, stupid, and you just look at them and say, never thought about it that way. Because what are you going to do? What are you going to tell them, that they're absolutely retarded, right? As human beings, we want to be accepted. We want someone who believes in us, who we are. And so, we tell them, I don't really care what you're saying, but I like you. And then we mask that with a different phrase, a different word. When you're children and you lie, it's not always about getting out of trouble. Sometimes it's about not disappointing the other person. When I was in my 20s, as I mentioned, I crashed a lot of these habits. I believe that it is healthy to get to the point where the only lies that you tell are for validation of the other person. And I think it's very important to recognize that if they were to find out that you told a lie, would they see it as validation or would they see it as a betrayal? And I think that is the line. If my girl asked me, do I look fat in this dress? And I said no. And then she found out later from her friends that it does make her look fat. And she came up to me and said, why did you say that? And I was like, because I love you. Go away. This shows the difference between validation and lying about buying a car. Lying about dropping $600 on a mystery night. Let's say that. It shows the difference between lying about something big and lying about something to make them feel special. I wanted to share this because a long time ago my brother made a very good point. He said, I wish you could have told her that. I don't think everyone in the world knows that not all lies come from selfishness and narcissism. That's all. Take care, please, and have a wonderful day.